Oh, hi. It's me, Randy, the Cheap Audio Man. Here at the Cheap Audio Man, we help everyone find high-value hi-fi, home theater, and headphone equipment. And today, we're talking about four systems, audiophile systems, for around $350. So grab a cup of coffee, sit down, and let's talk about four systems around $350. Yeah. Today's sponsor is going to be near and dear to many of our hearts who are old. That's right, it's the ACTO, the Audio Cassette Tape Organization. That's right, we all know hipsters are bored with vinyl. They're moving on to cassette tapes. They sound like garbage. They did back then, they do now. But that's cool because the hipsters got a hold of them. And now an old copy from the 80s of Ride the Lightning is $50 at Half Price Books. The ACTO, Audio Cassette Tape Organization. You're gonna buy it just because it's cool. Listen, being an audiophile doesn't have to be expensive. And frankly, there are a ton of options out there that will either get you going or get you back going from your audiophile sabbatical. These are a few of the products we're going to discuss today, but all of these systems, with the exception of one, come in at under $350. And they're not just all smaller amplifiers like this. There's a big one. And most of these systems have multiple inputs, which includes multiple digital inputs, some RCA inputs, and one that even has a phono stage if you have a turntable laying around. Okay? System number one, all right, is the AIMA D03. This is an integrated amplifier. It's a Class D amplifier, which means the amplification is being done on a chip. All of these, except for one, are going to have Class D amplification. The D03 comes with a remote. That's right, a remote control. Also has a display on the front. Also, on the back, it has a full digital optical converter, or DAC as some people call it. It's got a full-size USB, or like the printer-style USB. It has a full-size optical and a full-size digital coaxial. Also comes with Bluetooth, and then it has an analog input and a subwoofer output. The power rating on this is a little bit lower, but I would pair the D03 with the Sony SSCS5s or the ELAC BS41s. This amplifier is pretty neutral, which means it doesn't really lean one way or the other. If anything, it leans a little bit punchy, a little bit full. So if you want a warmer sound signature, the BS41 from ELAC is going to be your choice. These are $150. If you want something more analytical, but still not harsh, because this amplifier is kind of warm, kind of neutral, got the Sony SSCS5s. Easy recommendation. Those are $150. All of these prices are what these components cost right now. So if you order them today, this is what your price is going to be. However, the ELAC BS41 has been down to $68 and the Sony SSCS5 down to $88 or $78. I can't remember. Around $80. But as it is today, you can get the D03, I think for $169, $170. And then the ELAC or the Sony for around $320. You can go find an old Blu-ray player for 20 or 30 bucks and an optical out of that into this and have a CD transport and Bluetooth and a full DAC. So if you have a computer, I just pointed at like you can see the computer. I just pointed at my computer. If you have a computer, then you can run all of that info into here. Also, this can be a soundbar replacement because it has a subwoofer out. So later, if you want to add a subwoofer, you certainly can. With the optical input, you can optical out of your television or gaming console, whatever has an optical output. So that's the first system, the D03, with either the BS41s from ELAC or the Sony SSCS5s. System number two. I'm going to start with the LOOX A30. I have one in the house, however, it's in my daughter's room right now. And since it's 10:30 in the morning, she's obviously in the middle of her sleep. She'll probably get up around 2 or so. LOOX A30 comes in, I think, at $180. It uses the Infineon 12070 chipset, which is used in a lot of Class D amplifiers. Even some really, really good, I'm not saying the A30 is not good, it is very good, but it's used in the DA9, which is one of my favorite Class D amplifiers. So the Infineon 12070, well-respected chip, very clean, maybe a bit hard on top, but that's why I would pair it like the bird, not the bird, pair it with the ELAC BS41, which are a bit more warmer, a bit more laid back. So the combination between the A30 and the BS41 from ELAC is going to be a very good one. The A30 has very similar functionality to the DO3 by AIMA. However, it lacks a digital coaxial in. But since you lose that, you gain something else, and that's a headphone amplifier. So not only can this drive some speakers, but it can also drive some headphones as well. Power ratings are a little bit more conservative than some of the other amplifiers here, but even though the ES41s from ELAC are down to, I think, 84.5 dB sensitivity, that's still going to drive these. They're still going to sound good. It may not get these quite as loud as you would like it to, but the overall sound signature and combination is going to be awesome. Also has a subwoofer out. I don't know if I mentioned that. So it can be a soundbar replacement. For a while, it was sold out for a long time. Even now, I don't think it's actually in stock with Amazon, but the lead time on it is about 2 weeks, which means they are built somewhere and they can be shipped. So just like the DL3, you're getting Bluetooth, you're getting a DAC, you gain a headphone amp here. The only thing that you lose is a coaxial digital input. That system comes in right around 330 bucks. You can put the Sony SSC S5s on there, but it's going to be a little bit probably hard on the top. The Mica RB42s you can use on there as well, but they have an even lower sensitivity, so you're not probably going to get the loudest volumes out of the RB42s. All right, next system, gonna kind of be a separate system. You're gonna get the the AIMA T8. What is this? This is a DAC. It is a preamp of sorts. It has Bluetooth, has a tube on top here, it also has a headphone out, and a remote control, and tone controls. Very versatile little piece of equipment. It comes in at 130 or 140, I can't remember. Has a 12 volt power supply on the back, full size coaxial in, full size optical in, full size USB in, then it can take an RCA in, has one RCA out. So this is your preamp DAC and a headphone amp and remote control. So again, you can use this as a soundbar replacement, but you need an amplifier. It's a good thing that AIMA makes one of the coolest and most affordable amplifiers out there. It's the A07. Uses Texas Instruments 3255 chipset, which is awesome because it's full, it's rich, it's engaging. Sounds very similar to most Class AB amplifiers that are good. It has, very simple, on the back, one set of RCA ins, but it also has an auxiliary 3.5 output, which means you can take a 3.5 millimeter 2 RCA split cable and plug that into a subwoofer. So this actually also has a subwoofer out if you choose to use it that way. The cool thing about the A07, I think if you order it, it comes with a 32 volt power supply, but you can upgrade this all the way up to a whopping 48 volt power supply, which incidentally, I just got one in. So I can't wait to hook that up to this and play with it. Okay, that's an additional $75. So that's gonna put you above the $350. But you can get this, upgrade it later if you ever need that much power. This also has removable op amps. Well, technically speaking, all op amps are removable, but this has sockets soldered into the board so you can just lift out op amps and replace op amps. So not only can you upgrade the power on this, you can also roll the op amps, and then you can roll, and roll means change. I never really understood that. So you can roll the op amps on the A07, and then you can roll the tube on the T8, So there's a lot of ways that you can upgrade or change the sound to your taste with the T8 and the A07. Since this can have a lot of power depending upon what power supply you have, and it's very neutral, and you have tone controls, you can use any of these speakers, even the lowest sensitivity mica RB42s. This one comes in a little bit above $350 at $370, but with all the functionality and the upgrade ability of the A07 and the T8, I think for me personally, that's the system I would go with, simply because I like to play around with stuff and I like to upgrade. So as soon as I get something, I'm like, oh, how can I upgrade this? So the A07, T8, any of the ELAC BS41, the mica RB42, or the Sony SSCS5 will all be a great fit with this. Pretty awesome. Got Bluetooth too, remote control. Last but certainly not least is the Sony STRDH190. I did a review of this a while back early on in the channel. It is a 2-channel receiver, which means it has a radio if you listen to the radio, which is cool. Also has an integrated phono preamp. So if you have a turntable that doesn't have a integrated phono preamp, or one that does but you want to see if the Sony's is better, you can definitely do that. The Sony is the only component that I'm talking about today that does have a phono preamp. So the gotcha with this, it also has Bluetooth, has very good Bluetooth, AAC, which is for the Apple people. The gotcha with the Sony is it's really only rated for 8 ohm nominal speakers. I have run 4 ohm speakers on it. It just doesn't do very well. So the current capacity of the 190 isn't all that great, but I did run the Sony. Weird, right? Hook up the Sony SSCS5s to the Sony receiver. Cool thing about that combination is the Sony is a bit warmer, which is nice because it pairs really well with the Sony SSCS5s. I don't think you're going to drive the micas off the Sonys. I think you can drive the ELAC BS41s, but with the sound signature of the Sony, it's probably not going to pair really well with the ELACs unless you are really into a warm sounding signature. Any 8 ohm speakers are going to be able to be driven just fine off that Sony. I have some Mookies, the 2-way and the 3-way. The problem with those Mookies, they sound good at lower volumes, but if you're really wanting to fill the room with a lot of sound, probably not the best speaker, because around 80 dB, both of those speakers start to fall apart a little bit. If you're after a traditional looking piece of equipment, the Sony is definitely the way to go. I think it also has a remote control. I can't remember. It's been a while. It did sound great, but don't try. It sounded like a kind of a version of the Denon PMA 600NE. So I like that sound. Don't try to drive 4 ohm speakers off of it. It's just not going to work out well. It'll make sound, but it won't make good sound. No DAC. So eventually you will have to get a DAC if you want to listen to digital music off of it. But you can get some affordable DACs like the Shit Modi, like the AIMA T8, like the SMSL SU6. But it's going to be an upgrade. As it is right now, the Sony is $200, so the SSCS5 is $150, so that comes in at $350. And you'll have Bluetooth and the radio as your inputs. The cool thing about the Sony 190 is it often goes on sale for around $100. And with the Sonys going on sale down to $80 sometimes, now that whole system is $180. And you can add a DAC for another $100, and then for $280 you have a pretty screamingly awesome system. As it is right now though, they're not on sale. So $200 is retail, $150 is retail on the Sonys. As you can see, you can get a lot of great equipment even at retail prices, and most of these will go on sale. The AIMA and the LOOX don't go on sale. Their price is what it is. But these other products do go on sale. Mica, they don't go on sale either. It is what it is. But you can get an incredible amount of audiophile awesomeness for $350. You can fight me if you don't think it's audiophile. Who's to say it's not audiophile? Audiophile is anything we want it to be. You can also go to asmac.org or asmac.org, asmacc.org. It's a website. It certifies things, audiophile or not. ASMAC.org. Okay? So if you want to support the channel, you can sign up for Patreon, patreon.com/cheapaudioman. Every Sunday night we have Patreon-only Zooms. We also have a Patreon-only Facebook group. You can also sign up for Tidal or Amazon Music. There are links in the description. If you click and sign up, even for a trial, I will get a couple of bucks. You can also buy any of the products I talked about today. Those are affiliate links, which means if you click and buy through those links, I will get a commission. Doesn't cost you any more though, so it's a great way to support the channel. If you got any value, consider subscribing, turning on bell notifications, because I always post up sales that are going on. So don't binge watch anything on Netflix or Hulu. Binge listen through any of your systems under $350, one's $370, and fill your soul with happiness. With that, I'm Randy. I'm the Cheap Audio Man.